I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing while we remember those who have passed since the last meeting. Robert James McClay, John Palmer Knight III, Mary A. Conacher, Deaconess Phrygia Lee Sutton Jetter, Jose Negron, John Allen Wilson, and Alex Gutierrez. Roll call, Mr. Moschetta.
Present.
Paul.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Jazzy, we have a full board tonight. Fire exits are directly behind me here. Don't use the elevator. Of course, correspondence, correct? And this particular time we can do, attorney, you have no concerns, correct?
No.
All right, petitioners at this time, anybody from the public or on Zoom that would like to ask any concerns to the town board, come up. If you, Mr. Distel, come up in a few minutes, state your case.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good evening.
I was here on November 3rd, and there were two petitioners and a reporter. And I spoke, and Mr. Bartosik was another petitioner. He spoke about the veteran of foreign wars, and we all have a flag. But can you explain to me, Terry, why it wasn't on TV?
Excuse me?
November 3rd meeting did not appear on Channel 23.
You were
Now,
here.
I established this when I was supervisor, and when petitioners appear at a town board meeting. Are you listening? Or you talking?
You were asking me a question, so I asked the
Okay.
question to try to get your answer.
Okay. Well, it wasn't there, so anyway, there's no reason for that. I established Channel 23 because nobody was attending town board meetings to bring town government to the people, and that's the purpose of that. So what was the reason why it wasn't on TV?
So I can explain it to you if you'd like to have an explanation. That we had a hardware issue that happened with what went on with that particular meeting. However, the meeting was broadcast live on Facebook and is still available for people to view on Facebook even currently today. And there is also a YouTube channel that has been created for the town that we've had now for well over a year. And all the town board meetings are archived and available for viewing by the public anytime they feel like looking at them on YouTube as well as on the Facebook page.
And I appreciate that, because I always tune in on that. Okay, I got a few things I want to go over. Now, we had an emergency alert system, which was called Code Red.
Yep.
You gentlemen may not remember that. Scott Carlson, who was a supervisor, established that. And we used that. And we sent messages out, maybe you heard them, Paul, to the public when we had floods and storms and a fire up in Cragsmore. And I did a lot of that on a daily basis. But when you became supervisor, you abolished it.
I could address that too if you'd like me to address that.
Whatever you want to do. I'm just concerned about why it's not there.
Well, it was costing the town almost $8,000 a year for Code Red. We were using it maybe once or twice a year. We've since gone to another system, which is called Text-em-all. And that system is used on a pay-as-you-go basis, costing the town significantly lower money than we were paying on a yearly basis. And now we can do it via phone and text, or phone or text simultaneously. So the system essentially still exists. We're just not using that vendor anymore because we're paying so much money, and they would not give us the information as to who was in the database.
That's fine. I just need an explanation of what's going on. I want to go back to this cable thing. And you mentioned at the last meeting, I believe, that You investigated 25 homes on Decker Road, Anchor Honction, and Spectrum wanted $280,000. Is that correct?
Something to that number.
Yeah, all right. But 6 years ago, when I was supervisor and did a lot of cable construction, you did a lot of blocking on the cable when you were a councilman on the town board. You blocked Steam Hollow Road, you blocked,
For 7 votes, yeah, probably did.
could I finish, please?
Yeah.
And you blocked Fordmore and Burn Road, Brown Road, and even my road, Beaver Dam Road. As a matter of fact, the gentleman came here and spoke. You gentlemen may not have been on the board at that time. He was an attorney, he spoke, and he wanted cable because he does, as a lawyer, he deals with his people. But I spoke to him, and he said it was just like talking to the wall when he spoke to the supervisor. So, anyway, Stu doesn't have cable. And 6 years ago, things were a lot cheaper than they are today. But if you talk about cable, but you don't do anything about it. With $425,000 in the cable construction account, you never use it. Everybody, including these people here, we pay $5.55 a month. You have cable. And that is something I explained when I was a supervisor to you, Mr. Howe, that it's not the town board's money, it's the people's money, because those are the ones that have established the account. So you gotta get your act together and get some, there's 391 parcels in the town, the student.
Where did you get that number from?
Now, I know what you're working on, Paul, in broadband, and we're hoping that maybe next year, some money will come down this way if we get broadband. But through that time you gotta do something to get cable to these people. COVID, I explained before, when they had COVID-19, people didn't have cable, they had to take their kids to somebody else's house to do their homework. Okay, so that ends that, because I spoke for that before. Now I have a couple things for you, Paul, because you're the liaison to the transfer station, okay? And I understand you put some cameras in Lippman Park.
I didn't put them, yes,
No,
but cameras were installed at Littman Park, yes.
And I had 2 trail cameras up there. They're gone now, I don't know what happened to them. There's no cameras at the transfer station.
That's not true.
You got cameras up there
There's a
now?
camera that guards the gate going to the transfer
Okay,
station.
that's fine, that's good, because we caught somebody that was taking garbage in
Yep.
after hours up there, and it came out nice, because they were right on the camera. The other thing that I've been concerned with for a long time is the pond, which is 16 feet deep. No fault of anybody here. When they put that in, they used the clay of the bottom of the pond to seal the dump, and that's what they did. But they left a gigantic hole, and it fills up with water from the sky. So we need a fence. There was a fence there when I was supervisor. It wasn't much of a fence. It was like a railing that went around there. But we need a 6-foot chain link fence to go around that, because when I was supervisor, some people were playing ice hockey up there, as you remember. You remember
You're talking
that.
behind the transfer station?
I'm talking about the pond itself.
The body of water or down below?
The one on the left,
No, not
right there by
Liverpool.
the transfer
Not
station.
your,
Up the hill,
the transfer station pond.
yeah.
Yeah, I said behind the transfer station building.
There's only one pond there.
It's been eaten.
So it's 16 feet deep, and you'll laugh, but if some kid falls through the ice up there, you won't laugh anymore, because you're gonna have a lawsuit. That has to be taken care of. Now, there's 3 different ways you can do that. Put a fence. Tony, I'll put you in on this, because I checked with DEC. When you clean the dishes and stuff, you can fill that in and bring the water up to the culvert pipe. That's legal, you can do that. I go back a ways when Gussie Hull was on the board.
You've been talking for like 7 minutes. You're usually allowed
Is there a time limit on
Yes,
it?
it's a 3-minute.
3-minute limit.
window.
7, but
I'm just gonna finish up.
Okay.
And you need something up there to protect our children if somebody is up there on the ice, and the gate's locked, but they come in through the woods, so it's something that's gotta be looked into by the town board. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, now, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to express concerns to the town board or in the audience? I'm not seeing anybody in the audience, because we'll go to the first resolution, which is the Town Board of Wawarsing by resolution is pleased to declare December 1st, which is today, to be Richard H. Kraft and Dale Kraft Day. We have the Kraft family in the audience. We're happy to see them tonight. And I have a short resolution, and then we'll proceed with Ulster County Legislator John Gavaris and myself at the podium. So the resolution, whereas Richard and Dale were lifelong residents of the area where they attended Ellenville Central School, Richard graduating in 1950 and Dale in 1951. Whereas they founded the Kraft Chiropractic Associates and were founding members of the Ellenville Wawarsing Alumni Association. Whereas Richard served his community throughout his life in a leadership role, including being the town of Wawarsing supervisor, president of the Wawarsing Sportsman's Club, president of the Noonday Club, president of the Catskill Watershed Sportsman's Club, was the founder of Wawarsing Historical Knife Museum, as well as many other associations. Whereas Dale served as president of the New York State Chiropractic Association of Women's Auxiliary, the Shawangum Garden Club for many, many, many years, and took care of the day-to-day operations of the family businesses. Now, for be it resolved in recognition of and remembrance for service to their community, the town of Wawarsing acknowledges Dr. Richard H. Kraft and Dale Kraft on this day, December 1st, 2022, for their unwavering commitment for the betterment of our community. Dr. and Mrs. Kraft's lifelong devotion and dedication to the town of Wawarsing will be a lasting tribute to their lives, as well as a legacy not forgotten.
You want to do the roll call before you go?
So this is a roll call vote. Mike Machetta?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that resolution is passed. Family wants to come up, or is it okay? County Legislator John Gavaris here. You want to go first, John?
Sure. This is a Pride of Ulster Award presented by the Ulster County Legislature to Dr. Richard H. Kraft and Dale Kraft, that you gather to honor and remember their lifetime of leadership and dedicated service to the citizens of the town of Wawarsing and Ulster County.
That's Tracy Bartles, Chair of the Ulster County Legislature. And this is in loving memory of Dr. Richard H. Kraft and Dale Kraft, in recognition and remembrance for service to this community. The Town Board of Wawarsing acknowledges Dr. Richard Kraft and Dale Kraft on this day, December 1st, 2022, for their unwavering commitment for the betterment of our community. Dr. and Mrs. Kraft, lifelong devotion and dedication to the town of Wawarsing will be a lasting tribute to their lives, as well as legacy not forgotten. So, and the family provided this photo, which I think turned out pretty good. Right?
Thank you so much for being part.
Mark, Linda, and Cindy are Kraft children. Great children. So,
Yeah, they called us the kids.
okay.
They kept calling us the kids, yeah.
Anyway,
There are many people that have served and loved the community, but not more than my parents did. They worked their whole lives to make this place a better place to live and do business, and they often challenged a lot of people to do the same. And thank you all for this wonderful acknowledgement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Good. Thank you.
Yeah. I wish I could use it. Use it. Use it sometime. All right. We'll use it. I'm gonna finish up this one.
Okay. No problem.
Alrighty. JB and Mark and the family. Just from my personal standpoint, my personal interaction with the Kraft family was actually one of my childhood best buddies and lifetime friend George Gillette, who lives now in Flagstaff, Arizona since about 1971. George is JB Gillette's cousin, and so somehow George helped me to get a summer job with McDowell Construction. Somehow. I think I know how it happened, but I was the guy digging the rocks out of the creek while George was driving the truck, and that was a lesson for me at an early age, for sure. I gave him a hard time. He kept asking me to work a little harder, but I learned. But seriously, I was fortunate to meet Richard and the family who discussed the chiropractic profession and shared what a great profession it was. I decided to attend SUNY Brockport and earn a bachelor's degree in physical education. Dr. Richard did take a big interest in me attaining my goals in life that would educate me and give me a chance to be successful in life. Years later, when I began my town board service to the community, he was a mentor at times, which was very valuable to me as well as the town. I'm sure Richard and Dale touched many lives in a similar fashion. So thanks. Thank you. Let's go to the next resolution.
Yep.
The town board, by resolution, authorizes the billing of $70 base charge for residential, $145 commercial user for first quarter billing cycle for the new connectors in Wawarsing Water District in place of meter readings. As certain meters are unable to be pinged at this time, bills will be adjusted in the second quarter after meter database fully is functioning. Have a motion?
I'll
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
And that's a roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Cassie?
Aye.
And I vote aye, and that resolution is carried. Town board to approve, there's no budget modifications. Town board to approve the bills as audited.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes the motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the minutes of the November 3rd regular and audit meeting.
So moved.
I'm gonna continue. And the minutes of the November 7th,
Keep
the November
going.
7th budget workshop, the November 9th budget workshop, the November 17th regular and audit meeting, and the November 28th workshop meeting, and the maintenance department report for October 2022.
I'll move 3 through 8.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, 3 through 8. Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to schedule the 2023 organizational meeting on Thursday, January 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Place of the meeting will be the town of Wawarsing, Town Hall, 108 Canal Street. The workshop meeting will be at 5 p.m. and a regular and audit meeting will immediately follow the organizational meeting.
Move it.
Cassie makes a motion. Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for one member to serve an unexpired term on the town planning board. The term will expire on December 31st, 2028. The applications are to be returned at the town clerk's office by noon on Wednesday, December 22nd.
I'll move it.
Cassie
Second.
makes a motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the resignation of Frank Wood, Code Enforcement Officer in the Building Department. His resignation is effective as of December 21st, 2021. Or 22.
So moved.
Bill makes a motion.
Second.
Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the resignation letter from Frank Wood as a member of the planning board. His resignation is effective as of December 21st, 2022.
So moved.
So
Second.
Mike makes a motion. Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to approve David Seymour, water wastewater maintenance worker, to attend the virtual basic wastewater operations class given by SUNY Ulster from 1/3/23 to 3/23/23. The cost of the class is $1,050. On a case-by-case basis, the town board may require repayment of the costs associated with the education and/or training should the employee voluntarily terminate employment with the town during the 36 months immediately following completion of the education and/or training.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 14, Town Board to approve David Seymour, water wastewater maintenance worker, to attend the virtual basic wastewater operations lab class given by SUNY Ulster from the 3/28/23 to 5/2/23. The cost of the class is $645. On a case-by-case basis, the town may require repayment of the costs associated with the education and/or training should the employee voluntarily terminate the employment with the town during the 36 months immediately following the completion of the education and/or training.
I'll move it.
Cassie makes a motion. Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Town Board to approve David Seymour, again, water wastewater maintenance worker, to attend the virtual activated sludge class given by the SUNY Ulster from May 9th to June 7th. The cost of the class is $575. On a case-by-case basis, the town may require repayment of the costs associated with the education and/or training should the employee voluntarily terminate the employment with the town during the 36 months immediately following completion of the education and/or training.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes that motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute the quote from WebJogger in the amount of $15,796.50 for the purchase of a new phone equipment for the town of Wawarsing.
I'll make it.
Second.
Paul makes the motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute the quote from WebJogger in the amount of $7,125 for the installation of a new phone system for the town of Wawarsing.
So moved.
Second.
Mike makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement between the town of Wawarsing and the Office of Community Renewal for the Community Block Renewal Program funding in the amount of $874,478 for the Cohasson Sewer District Sanitary Sewer Collection System, Phase 2, CDBG, 1215, 167, and 22.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisors to execute an agreement between the town of Wawarsing and Bernier and Larios, PC, to perform professional services for the town of Wawarsing, Cohasson Sewer District Sanitary Sewer Collection System Improvements, Phase 2, CDBG 1215 PR 167-22.
Move it.
Cassie makes a motion,
Second.
Paul seconds, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion's carried. Number 20, Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement between the town of Wawarsing and Glauer Associates to perform administrative services for the town of Wawarsing's Cohasson Sewer District Sanitary Collection System, Phase 2, CDBG 1215 PR 167-22. The proposed agreement not to exceed $50,000.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes the motion. Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to approve the payment of invoice 180073 to Labella Associates in the amount of $230,504 for the Wawarsing Water District.
I'll move it.
Cassie makes a motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to approve payment application number 3 in the amount of $175,151.50 to Amity Construction Corp. for the Wawarsing Water District Individual Service Connections, Local Roads, WWD Bid 11.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Town Board to approve the release of the remaining monies being held in escrow in the amount of $55 for the lands of Aid Forest Timber Harvest. This is per the recommendation of the Town Planning Board in a letter dated November 22nd,
So moved.
2022. Bill makes a motion.
Second.
Cassie makes seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 3 for local road water mains to Rutledge Excavating, Inc. Wawarsing Water District for a contract contingency allowance. This will decrease the contract value by $102,000 for a contract price of, $102,000. The contract price will be $1,085,217.92.
I'll move it.
Wow, that's a big decrease.
Yes.
Darcy makes the motion, Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Bill.
Mike. There was Mike.
And number 25 is
Joe.
Done. Okay.
So, no other motions that we missed?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, so again, we'll start with our liaisons, which is Mr. Pays.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Was there a little snow on the ground today?
No.
Very little.
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
A little.
Up in Greenfield.
Yep.
In Greenville Park? there
Yeah,
was.
it was fun.
I didn't see enough.
Fun this morning.
I didn't see enough.
I don't know, I was calling the highway department and they didn't answer.
They were too busy out there dropping sand.
Yes.
Earlier, I'm gonna meet somebody coming from out of town, so have a good evening, guys.
Yep.
Have a
Good
good
evening, Bill.
Okay, Bill.
Illegal, okay?
Okay, next.
I got a question
Okay,
though.
yes.
On this phone
No, you
system.
said good.
Now I got a question on this phone thing. Where's that town barn and everything too? Is that how it works?
Yep,
Yes.
it'll include you too.
Okay.
And when the new highway goes up, they'll come out and expand it into the next building.
Okay, that's what
Yeah,
Yep.
so Colleen, when
Free.
she gets set up, wherever she's gonna be, she'll have a new phone.
Well, gonna be moving her to the old building sometime in December.
Okay,
And we hope to take down the office down in January.
All right, Tony, just let us know that so that the contractor can be aware of that. But yeah, that's all part of it.
He's been dealing with Cody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we can't take the building down, the big building, until they hook the water and
Yep.
electric
Yeah.
up.
And there's a water line through the old,
It goes through the old building, the old salt shed.
which is behind your office.
Yes. So,
So that's an issue that,
we have to coordinate.
Yep.
that's all.
Okay. No problem.
taking down a lot of trees.
Let's not talk about
Trees.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, a lot of trees.
Okay. Mike Machado.
I don't have too much. I just want to thank all the first responders out there for doing a wonderful job. I'm happy to say that our building department is caught up as far as the backlog in permits, which is great. 2 new employees are working out very well. We have a emergency shelter meeting with the town board and the village board on Monday to hopefully iron out what we need to and get some correct paperwork done so we can come up with with the shelter, with a shared services contract that we can all agree on and move forward on that. At least we're moving in a positive way. The last thing I have is just a reminder that the Joshua Peters Memorial Electric Fire Truck Parade is this Saturday at 5 p.m. Starts at the Burn Road and goes through the village. Hopefully the weather holds out because they're calling for some wet weather. But I called somebody. They said they would see what they could do.
There is
about
no
it.
rain date, correct?
There is no rain date. So that's all I have for this evening.
Alrighty, Paul.
All righty, thank you. First, I'd just like to make a comment about Doc Kraft. I didn't know Dale very much except to be introduced to her, but Doc's probably one of the reasons why I'm sitting here at this table tonight. He was one of my mentors as I got interested in serving the community. He also mentored me into the Rod and Gun Club that we were both members of, and I always enjoyed hearing his stories about the town and also hearing his wealth of knowledge about the knives and the knife factory and the knife museums and all those things. He and his wife are truly going to be missed, obviously, by many of the people in this community. And as I said, Doc did touch my heart in many ways in the short time that I did know him. So something else I'd like to comment on too. Tonight, again, there were comments about a cable fund and money that gets paid every month by people who are subscribers to cable. There is a fee that gets charged. It's called the cable franchise fee. It's a minimal charge that we all pay that have accounts already. And it's a fee that in the past
the town of Wawarsing had decided to put aside and reserve for expenditures on things. Many towns actually take that money and put it into the general fund and basically spread it out throughout the benefit of all the taxpayers. We've taken a little bit of a different approach with that, where we've taken that fund and we've put it aside, but we've put it aside at the same time wanting to make sure that we use that money in a proper way for all the taxpayers. And as Supervisor Houck has mentioned several times, we've worked with and tried to work with the current cable company many times, and the cost of doing some of these upgrades via the old technologies is just very, very cost prohibitive, and I think that it would be irresponsible for us to spend $280,000 to basically wire 20 homes with the money that the residents have been paying into this fund. What we've done instead, by keeping this money aside, is we've been using it to do technology enhancement and upgrades to pay for things like the smart board that the town uses to allow us to communicate and put the town board meetings on things like Facebook and YouTube channel and things like that. We're also, we talked very briefly this evening about a new phone system that the town's going to get. The federal government has provided funding, which is known as ARP, which is American Rescue Plan money, as a result of the COVID pandemic, and some of the money was allowed to be set aside for communication enhancements. This is actually a double win for the town, because there's been many issues with the old system that we have right now, and it quite honestly has gotten expensive. By implementing this new system and utilizing funds in a proper way, we're going to actually cut the town phone bill to almost in half, and at the same time be able to provide better services for the employees of the town, as well as for the residents of the town to be able to communicate better with the town. So I just wanted to clarify things as far as that goes. And that's all I've got for tonight.
Yeah, speaking to the cable fund that Paul was just specifically talking about, with the new technology in today's world, the other way that we used to do it in 6 to 10 years ago is very outdated and very cost prohibitive, as Paul had mentioned, and the dollars don't go very far if you're doing it the old-fashioned way. When you can do 7 homes 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, it was, at that point, it was still like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And today, as we mentioned, one on Decker Road was about 200 plus. I don't know if it's 250 or 280. So there are other ways to do it. We've done, the internet at Lippman Park, the Wi-Fi and over there, and the transfer station. So that's, you've got to put your money into things that spread out and reach, the vast majority of the people in the town. So, Bill Brown?
Okay. Supervisor and maintenance man Mike Cedar and myself toured Bermroe Park to check on the conditions and see what type of repairs needed to be done. And we made a list of that. And then after that, the supervisor and myself met with members of the NAACP on Bermroe Road Park issues, and listened to their complaints and suggestions, and we're working on that. I'll be with Mr. Machetta when we meet on the shelter on Monday, and hopefully we can have some positive gains on that. We spoke with the Boys and Girls Club this week, and that didn't turn out to be as fruitful as I was hoping it would be. We still need to hire a rec director, which hopefully we'll canvass for in the near future. When we toured Bermroe Park, I noticed that it needed a good fall cleanup. from trash and leaves and stuff. So Mike Cedar and myself volunteered to go over there on last Wednesday and did a cleanup there of the area. And let's see. Last but not least is my personal opinion that the board should investigate our options in selecting the official newspaper for the town prior to the New Year's organizational meeting. And that's all I have.
Okay, let's see. I think the only person before me is Cassie.
Oh.
So I gave a lot of thought to what was said last week, or before the holiday at our last meeting. And I try to think about the liaisons that I'm involved in and how they benefit all the residents in the town of Wawarsing. And the biggest one is the Youth Commission. I sit on that as a liaison, and we service roughly 300 kids every summer. We do everything we can to make sure a child that wants to go to camp can go. We issue tuition breaks and discounts, and in very extreme cases, we have Camp Angels who provide tuition for kids who can't go. So, and the vast majority of the kids that attend our camp actually do reside within the village. We do have obviously some from the town, but most of them are village residents. So I think that I show in that fashion that I am very concerned about the children of our community and getting what they need to thrive and grow and live their best lives. And it was troublesome to me that certain phrases were thrown around at our last board meeting and without a whole lot of substance behind them. The other liaison that I sit on, the Wawarsing Water District, people would say, well, that has nothing to do with the village. But what they don't understand is once it's up and running, we will have contiguous water from Kerhonkson to Napanock to Wawarsing to the village with this flip of a switch. If for any reason the village does not have water, we can provide water from the Wawarsing Water District. We can even provide water from Kerhonkson if we absolutely have to the village because it'll be contiguous. So we are taking care of the village residents, and I think that we need to be very careful with the words that we choose going forward. And on a heartbreaking note, we've had some losses in our community in the last 2 months that have really just devastated the youth of our community. And some parents reached out to me this week, and they requested my assistance in setting up a grieving space for the kids. We've done that at Fellowship Hall over St. Mary's and St. Andrews, and that'll be Saturday. I do want the parents to know that there is a 24-hour-a-day manned line that they can call at 888-750-2266 for Ulster County Mental Health, and someone will always answer it. If you or your children are in crisis, if this loss in our community has hit you super hard, please reach out to them. They're there to help you. They can give you tools. I don't want to lose any more kids. It's just wrong at this. There's so much more that we can do to help them. And I'd like to I know I'm flopping back, but I forgot this I need you all to, if you want water in the Wawarsing Water District, the time is running out. Yep. You need to get your paperwork in order. You need to schedule a meeting with Labella to get your house mapped out so that you can get water. Once we close the project, New York City DEP will close this project probably middle of next year. They're scheduled to shut the aqueduct down on October 1st. You will miss your opportunity, and it could cost you thousands of dollars to connect to our system. If you do it now, you have an opportunity to do it at no cost. So you can call here at the town hall, you can speak to me or Tracy if I'm not available, and we can get you set up. Town hall's closed on the 26th and the 25th this year, so have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Cassie, again, now that you can see.
Yes.
So, I appreciate the comments from the town board members, Mr. Brown and Sassy here, regarding the meeting last week. There was a situation that we read in the paper that didn't appear to have any kind of conversation that involved what the town board thought about that. And normally every week we do have conversations with the reporters and with the papers, and there was not one question regarding that, which I think is unusual. But, so the town board is compelled to discuss some of the scenarios that we listened to. Town board listened to each comment on November 17th. Any concern, thanked everyone for their comments, stated that the town board would follow up with the village board to come to an understanding of the village and the town parks and attempt to come to an agreement on how they should be funded. Mayor Kaplan and I actually sat over a cup of coffee over the weekend to discuss this process. After the November meeting, the town board discussed these conditions and feels compelled to share these, talk to the residents and taxpayers. So first, there appears to be a really misconception of how and who maintains the parks in the town of Wawarsing. When I say the town of Wawarsing, I mean the village of Elmville, and I mean the town of Wawarsing, outside of the village. And I'm just saying these are the ways that it has been done over history, since the parks existed. The Burn Road Park, Mill Street Park, and Steckler Park, which is the Shawanga Country Club golf course, are village-owned properties that by the choice, the practice, and the decision of the village board, all of the village boards back to when they started, have always been funded by the village residents only. Village Municipal Law 6-624 states a village may own and operate a park. There's no statutory responsibility of the town to fund a village-owned park. That doesn't mean that we can't come to some understanding in some terms, but that is the way, by the choice of the village boards, that's the way it's been funded. Things have happened in recent years where the village has had some financial issues, some fiscal stress, and I believe in recent years the New York State government has encouraged consolidation. And as of today, December 1st, the town has taken over the court, which impacts the town budget, obviously, and it's a lot of work. And we would have appreciated a lot more consideration and cooperation since last year when this was done. But guess what? We're doing it, and we're doing it the right way, and we're going to move forward. So, with that being said, the village has pretty much been abandoning the Burn Road Park and the Mill Street Park while taking monies from the mountain money, $475,000, to purchase the Shawanga Golf Course instead of having a private entity own it and pay village taxes. At the same time, the village board did not have any interest in partnering with the town of Wawarsing, but merely asked the town budget to fund the paving of the parking lot and to fix the roof and of the Pro Shop restaurant building after it was purchased. No shared services agreement was enacted for that request. Therefore, the town did not address those two requests. The town and the village are incorporated municipalities. We have to go by rules and laws. Again, I stress very strongly that there are conditions that can be met where we can have an agreement, but it has to be an agreement that is fair for all of the taxpayers and residents of the town of Wawarsing. So, the complete story of the mountain money can be read in the Shawanga Journal online version, which came out about 10 hours ago. Okay, so the article is called Mountain Money, Where It Went and What's Left. So, in discussing the Shawanga Country Club, it's just a matter of fact of what happened in the way that the village decided to make these decisions. The Shawanga Journal ran a story actually last week, which I prefaced in the beginning, and Bill also mentioned we didn't really see another side of the story, so that's why we're discussing this tonight. But at the bottom of that article, there was a June 2nd previous meeting that, if you read it, really discussed what happened in June. We were asking those questions and specific questions for budget lines and invoices and how, what kind of money was put into the Burn Road Park. That was in June. And that article was actually at the bottom of, in that article from last week. The town board requested to procedurally address the shared service agreement to assist in the maintenance, repair, and improve specifically the Burn Road Park. This article is attached to the recent article last week at the bottom of the story, just as I just mentioned. 2 days ago, the village manager forwarded a list of invoices pertaining to maintenance for the Burn Road Park over the last few years. The town did not receive the budget line funding sources, or show the funding sources, just a number of invoices. Additionally, the village board is responsible to assess the condition of the Burn Road Park and provide the costs needed to repair and maintain the park facilities prior to any type of an agreement. The town of Wawarsing parks our Lippman Park, which was deeded over to the town of Wawarsing by past resident Marty Lippman a few years ago. Remember, Jackie, they had the celebration down there? Actually, Mr. Lippman was there. I believe he lives in Vermont or something.
Yep.
So, that's how the park for the town got to be in Lippman Park, because it was deeded over by a resident that had lived here. Camper Park and Greenfield Park has been abandoned, similar to what the Burn Road Park has. But the reason for the Camper Park was because I believe it was Hurricane Irene, which is 10, 12 years ago, correct? And the access road that fed down into that park was basically destroyed. And so we've been kind of, cordoning it off and not using it, but in the future, we would definitely like to have that park, as well as parks around the entire town, be available for all the residents and taxpayers. The October Village Town Parks Commission, which we have a Village Town Parks Commission that meets every third Thursday of the month, 8 o'clock in the morning at Town Hall, at Village Hall. They have that commission discussed 4 options for parks consolidation, which were shared service agreements, joint ownership agreements, sole ownership agreements, and how the Parks Commission fits into the operation of designated parks. The Parks Commission addresses the town of Wawarsing O&W Rail Trail and the Lippman Park trail relocations as well. So there is conversation and trying to come to some conclusion of whether it's going to be a sole proprietor deeded over to the town or a shared service. But there are options that we're looking at. And again, it's good to have a Parks Commission, but it's also, you have to have a lawyer that actually can make sense out of and follow what state law, municipal law is. So, in conclusion, the town board will work with the village and community to reach an equitable legal decision going forward. Does anybody else have any? We've discussed this together, and we agree that that's the case. If anybody has any other questions, or not questions, or offerings from the town board, then, speak your mind now, or the next meeting, or whenever we think it's appropriate, right? So, again, there's a lot of we've said that we like to always work together, but there are scenarios, like I mentioned before, with the consolidation of New York State consolidations. We have to take a look at that, and we have to be aware of how that, plays into, the community, which in this case is a village and a town. And the better that, the more we look into it and, look at equitable arrangements, the better chance of the town outside the village and the village together will prosper. There's a lot of things that are going on with this town now. We've done a lot of a lot of improvements in the town, like Cassie had mentioned in her comments. About 4 years ago, we lined the Caronson water lines, which hadn't been done in 50 years. Then the water district came, and the water district's going to be done in 2023. Like Cassie was saying, it's going to be 4 contiguous districts, and that's a very big advantage to have that. We've done manhole cover projects in Napanock. The Department of Corrections is doing a $10 million sewer upgrade. Cresco Labs is on the cusp of Ellenville in the town of Wawarsing, just inside the town, which the village will make a lot of revenue out of by supplying water, because it has to be a combination of the Napanock Water District and the Ellenville Water District. We have to work together and provide approximately 95,000 gallons a day, which is a big deal. But again, the town brought that project here with the help of the consultants, which Mr. Casalino and Lori Villarusso, pretty much, they had the contacts in the state for years and years and years. Everybody always talked about how the Schrade property, the hydro property, could never be used. Well, guess what? It's going to be used in a way that it's going to, employ 300 or 400 employees. The Neville project is another project that's going to benefit the village. By working diligently and hard in the town board, this Somerset Partners, I hope, will be coming to, they're going to be coming to the planning board on December 20th for an informational meeting. And then after that, it'll be an official, hopefully it'll be at the official first meeting when they buy the property. And that project is proposed to be a $400 million project, which is going to employ a couple hundred people. It's going to, which our residents are included in that. And so again, the village will have water and sewer revenue from that, which is going to help out. We all hope out, all 5 of us, and Tony and Jackie, we all hope that, both of us, meaning the town and the village, can benefit and prosper. So, what else? That's it?
So moved.
All right, yeah, Bill said so moved. At this point, this isn't, our comments tonight are precursors to getting a resolution for all the different topics that we, talk about and discuss. All right, so again, thanks, John Tavares, for coming to the meeting tonight. You and Craig Lopez, represent the town of Wawarsing. We appreciate what you guys do. We appreciate you bringing a certificate from the county to honor the Kraft family. And actually, do you have any comments, John, as far as the Hunt building with the county, as far as financing, anything?
No, actually, I'm not the past, but the meeting on Monday, what time is it?
2:30.
2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, I'll try to attend it, but we have a county meeting at 4 o'clock as we had. Hoping that there's some synergy there with the county with the code flu activation and emergency shelter, as well as some other, there's a lot of focus now to start to restore services to the outer lying communities, Wawarsing, Ellenville, Shongum, the Olive areas. There's a lot of money next year going to be spent at the Tree Farmer building to renovate that and bring services back there. So there's an understanding and a focus that is under the county, which preaching to the choir here has been forgotten. That is seeming to, the tide is changing on that. It seems like there's money being invested to bring services back to people. So I'm hopeful that meeting Monday takes some information from there back.
Also, just one more thing I want to touch on, John, just so you know, with the representation from Red Cross and the county, there's some clarification needs to be made public about what constitutes emergency and what doesn't. There's been some situations where things have happened that weren't really an emergency shelter situation, people that got displaced. For instance, we had a house where electrical system in the house was no good. People couldn't stay in the house. The shelter wasn't available, so a lot of questions came up. So
there truly is one answer. The answer is an emergency shelter or whatever the reason we need an emergency has to be a declaration by the elected official at the lowest level of
Correct.
government. So either the mayor within the village, supervisor within the town, or the county executive, obviously it's state, governor, and then federal, obviously it's president.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a
Those are the
conversation also.
definitions, as far as I understand from the grant that the village received from FEMA to do the shelter down there, it has to be under a declaration by one of the chief administrators. And without that, they put the risk of that money in jeopardy.
Yep. So that'll be a topic of conversation with you also.
Yeah, and code blue activations are an activation of the county executive,
Yeah.
so that falls under emergency declaration, which would allow the building to be used under the FEMA money.
Good.
Do you know if they're going to, they had started sending members of the different offices from the county to, it was supposed to be every 3 months. We had the first one over at the Methodist Church. It was the Veterans Affairs. It was Office of the Aging. It was,
Veterans.
I said veterans and
Social services.
social services and the county executive's office and everybody. And then they canceled the second one. The third one is scheduled for December 7th. I haven't heard anything whether that's.
Yeah, we'll have to check tomorrow, see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think that's what the focus of refurbishing and renovating the street farmer building is to, right now, so those spaces only get used by one group, 1 day a week. So it's just a vacant more than it is occupied. The goal with renovations, I think, is for the space to be sort of multi-use, and they can bring offices in throughout the week. So instead of it being once a month that somebody may be there, it may be more often than that. And they're looking to do satellite locations throughout the county. And I think the
Yeah, because there was about 25 people that used it that first time it was here.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't that well publicized when. So I think more people would have used it if they'd known.
Yeah, I think the incoming county executive is very aware of the issue of advertising services. I think that's been something that we've been hearing a lot over the last year. We've been trying to voice it to the executive's office, and I think the incoming county executive understands that you can offer all the services you want, but if people don't know they exist,
Right.
they're pointless. And I think we're realizing that more so now. There was, a constituent services line, which it looks like, we'll find out Monday night because we make the vote, but that was supposed to be the one phone call you make and it would get you whatever help you needed, it would forward you the right direction. It was never advertised at all, to the point where honestly, myself, including almost every legislator, we didn't even know the phone number ourselves to the thing because it was just never advertised. It was a huge expense. It fell flat, it didn't do what it was supposed to. So I think we're looking more now about outreach rather than just find offer the services. That's great, but if people don't know about it,
Right.
we're not doing anything. There's going to be no outcome that's going to be say that we can justify that expense.
So as Councilman, or legislator John Gavaris has mentioned prior to, just as he started getting into this conversation, the town of Wawarsing has had the reputation of that being taken, getting noticed by the Ulster County government, and I do believe in the last 5-6 years it's been a lot different. And within the last year and a half, it's been extremely different.
Yep.
And we appreciate what the county is doing, and we're skilled to ask for a lot of different things, and we've gotten some things there. And all these improvements that we've made over the years, in the last 5 or 6 years, with the water lines and the DEP projects and the DOCC projects at Eastern, a lot of these are grants, and when you get a grant, part of the process of getting the grant is an income survey.
Yep.
So the vast majority of the grants that we've gotten were for, areas outside the village of Ellenville, and the income surveys, as John remembered, Steve Bradley and some of the previous board members used to have to go around and get income surveys filled out to individual knocking on doors to get those. And historically, Mark Lauer has done a fantastic job with that. But one of the key factors is the income status of the people that live in the town of Wawarsing. So with the financial stability that the town of Wawarsing board and government has, and the fact that we have low income or qualifying income levels for the different, infrastructure projects that we've gotten, that, that benefits everybody.
Yep.
All right, so at this point, I think we should.
So moved.
Yes,
You
no, we have
mentioned the grants, and I think it's important that I mention it here. So surprisingly, the county doesn't have a grants department, or they have a grants administrator, not even really a grants writer. Now in this next year's budget, we've added, we just approved it last night, there will be hiring a full-time grant person, which will not just focus on countywide, but also finding grants that fit within the communities, because like Napa, our prime example, certain grants, income based, and certain geographical components to it, some area may be qualified for, while countywide it may not make sense, but that person will look for areas where if there's money out there, we'll try to find where it can go. And that's gonna be the focus for next year, is to have a grants person.
Good.
Good deal.
Excellent.
As much money as possible.
Yep.
Right, so we just discussed the grants with Legislator Wawarsing. The last thing I need to talk about, which I forgot about, was having a conversation with a local resident in the village of Ellenville, and he's got a lot of experience in job training, and we're going to be hooking up with Cresco Labs and having a conversation with the county also from one of the departments down there as far as training and to train the people from the town of Wawarsing and the village of Ellenville on specific job titles, to gather those job titles from Cresco, not to just have the town board approve it and then, we go on to the next project. This is a type of project, and this is the type of board that you have, that we're doing these functions, and we've learned these in the last couple of years from different people that have brought these businesses in here. So the more business that you get, the more educated we're going to be as board members. All right? So at that point, I want to make a motion to close the meeting.
Already?
Mike makes the motion. Paul says he still wants to talk.
No, I don't.
Cassie seconded it.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.